On my 33 R&D birthday, my family was heading for a luxury cruise. The port. I realized I didn't have a ticket. My sister shrugged. Wait, you really thought you had one? My parents sighed. IT's common sense to buy your own. I quietly walked away. Later, when they boarded the cruise, they saw my name engraved on the VIP suite and turned pale. In a quiet suburb of Dallas, Texas, Elizabeth Montgomery, Ellie for short, burst out of a single-story home with red brick walls and white window frames. Her mother's voice followed her from behind. Ellie, aren't you listening? This Sunday is Vanessa's promotion celebration. You're coming, aren't you? Ellie took a deep breath and turned around. Patricia stood in the doorway, her hair neatly styled, wearing a simple dress every bit the former elementary school teacher she was. Sorry, Mom. I have an important meeting on Sunday. Patricia narrowed her eyes. Work again? For that little company of yours? Vanessa's been made assistant branch manager at the bank. I'm so glad she found a stable profession. Ellie managed a weak smile. Little company. That's what she'd led her family to believe. In reality, her startup, Ocean Connect Technology, had revolutionized the shipping industry, with its logistics acquired by a major corporation 3 years ago. Ellie had become a millionaire in the process, but to her family, it was just a little company. All right, I'll try to reschedule the meeting. Patricia nodded with satisfaction. Good. Your father and Vanessa will be so pleased. As Ellie got into her car, Richard appeared with fishing gear in hand. Ellie rolled down her window and waved. Going fishing? Yes, Mr. Smith invited me, her father said, slightly embarrassed as he held up his equipment. Having more time for hobbies since retirement has been wonderful. By the way, did you hear about Vanessa's promotion? Yes, Mom just told me. Isn't it wonderful? That's why people should have stable careers. Looking at his daughter's car, he added, Ellie, don't you think it's time to be more realistic? Are you still clinging to that small business of yours? Ellie smiled as she answered, Don't worry. I'm just following my own path. I'm concerned, Richard sighed. After 35 years in insurance sales, I've learned the value of stability. Your dreams are. He looked up at the sky as if searching for words unrealistic. She'd heard these words countless times. Since childhood, her family never understood her passion for invention and business. Even while studying business administration in college, they constantly told her she should join a normal company. And when she announced her plan to start a business after graduation, the family meeting turned into a painful intervention. See you later, Ellie said, cutting the conversation short and driving off. On her way to the downtown office, Ellie's phone rang. It was her sister, Vanessa. Did you hear? I've been made assistant branch manager. Congratulations, Vanessa. That's wonderful. Ellie offered sincere congratulations. I know, right? Mom and Dad are thrilled. Listen, we're planning to do something for my promotion celebration. Can you make it? I have a meeting on Sunday, but I'll try to reschedule. On the other end of the line, Vanessa lowered her voice. Hey sis, how long are you planning to stick with that startup? It's been over 3 years now, right? If things aren't working out, I could put in a good word for you at the bank. Ellie pulled the car over to the side of the road. She took a deep breath in and slowly let it out. Thanks, but I'm fine. But I love what I do, Ellie said calmly. And things are going better than expected. I see. Vanessa didn't sound convinced. Anyway, looking forward to Sunday. After hanging up, Ellie rested her head on the steering wheel. Conversations with her family were always like this. They dismissed her choices, devalued her opinions, and didn't believe in her potential for success. But that wouldn't last much longer. Ellie had planned to reveal the truth on her 30th birthday. She intended to charter a luxury liner from Royal Neptune Cruises and invite her family aboard. Then she would tell them that she was the owner who had acquired this prestigious cruise line. Additionally, she had arranged surprise gifts, a luxury car for her mother, a dream fishing boat for her father, and funds for a new home for her sister. She had kept her success a secret all these years for a moment like this, when her family would genuinely feel proud of her. Ellie arrived at her office and stepped into the executive elevator. The morning at Miami Port was filled with energy and excitement. Several massive cruise ships were docked, with lines of vacationers stretching to the check-in counters. Ellie parked her rental car in the parking lot and walked toward the port, pulling a small carry-on bag. Today was her birthday. A week ago she had received an email from her family saying, "We have a special present for your birthday." No details were provided, only instructions to meet at Miami port. Ellie's heart was filled with excited anticipation. This was the first time her family had planned something special for her. Probably a day cruise. Ellie smiled to herself. How lovely to spend quality time with my family. She headed to the check-in area for Royal Neptune Cruises, which happened to be the meeting place. Ironically, this was the company she had acquired 6 months ago. Of course, she hadn't told her family about that. This made it feel even more like destiny that they had chosen this particular cruise line. In the distance, she spotted her parents and sister and waved to them. "Good morning." Ellie approached with a broad smile. "I came early. I'm so excited." Her mother Patricia looked slightly surprised. "Ellie? What are you doing here?" "What?" Ellie tilted her head. "It's the birthday surprise, right? You told me to come to Miami port." Her father Richard and Vanessa exchanged glances. There was obvious confusion in their expressions. The check-in counter attendant called out, "Montgomery party, we're ready for your check-in." The four of them lined up at the counter. The attendant checked the computer and confirmed the names of Richard, Patricia, and Vanessa. Ellie waited, her heart swelling with anticipation. "I've confirmed tickets for the three of you," the attendant said with a smile. "Is there another person in your party?" "That's me." Ellie stepped forward. "Elizabeth Montgomery." The attendant checked the computer again and looked confused. "I'm sorry, but I don't see a reservation for Elizabeth Montgomery." Ellie froze for a moment. Could there be some mistake? She turned towards her family. The answer was in their expressions. This was no mistake. Ellie searched for words. "What about my ticket?" Her sister Vanessa shrugged. "What? Did you really think there would be one for you too?" The words were spoken lightly, but they pierced Ellie's heart. "But the birthday surprise." Her mother Patricia sighed. "Isn't it common sense to arrange that yourself? This is our family trip." "We're also celebrating Vanessa's promotion." "Family trip?" Ellie let the words sink in. "Then why didn't you tell me?" "Well, you always say you're busy," Patricia said nonchalantly. "Besides, we sent you the email, didn't we? We told you the location, but I thought that was about a birthday present?" Ellie's voice grew smaller. Her father Richard heaved a heavy sigh. "Ellie, please don't spoil our family trip. We know it's your birthday. We'll buy you a cake when we get back." Ellie tried repeatedly to make sense of the situation in her head. Her family had planned a family trip without her on her birthday, and they had done it with the cruise company she had just acquired. They had sent an email that made her think it was a birthday present, and they claimed this was common sense. She felt something crumbling inside her chest. Ellie consciously controlled her facial expression. The composure she had developed in the business world supported her now. "I understand," Ellie said quietly. "Have a good time," Vanessa exclaimed in surprise. "You're not angry?" Ellie shook her head slightly. "What is there to be angry about?" "It's your decision," she said with as much dignity as she could muster. "I hope you have a wonderful trip." She began to walk away slowly. Behind her she heard Patricia's voice. "See? She's fine. Ellie always understands." Once she was at a safe distance, Ellie took out her cell phone. "Is this Marcus? I'd like to speak with the executive manager of Royal Neptune Cruises." After a moment, a male voice responded on the other end. "Miss Montgomery, thank you for your call. How can I be of service?" "I need to make an urgent arrangement." Ellie's voice was quiet but firm. "Regarding the Montgomery family reservation, I have special instructions." She slowly turned around and spotted her family, who had completed check-in and were heading toward the boarding procedure. Her expression remained calm, but there was a determined light in her eyes. "Please give them special treatment, but don't reveal who arranged it." And she paused for a moment. "I'd like you to prepare a special surprise for me." Ellie hung up and left the port, watching the massive cruise ship reflected in her car's rearview mirror. The golden logo of Royal Neptune Cruises gleamed in the sunlight. Her company's logo. "Happy birthday, Ellie," she whispered softly to herself. The three members of the Montgomery family were led into the massive cruise ship by an attendant. Unlike regular passengers, they were guided through a special VIP entrance and directed to a private elevator. "We seem to be getting special treatment," Patricia whispered to her husband. Vanessa? You must have made an excellent reservation. Vanessa shook her head. I only booked the basic package. Could this be a mistake? The young male staff member who was guiding them smiled. No, it's not a mistake. The Montgomery party has special arrangements. Richard frowned. Are you sure there's no misunderstanding? We only made a regular reservation. Please don't worry, the staff member politely answered. Everything has been properly arranged. This way, please. The elevator rose silently and stopped at the top floor. When the doors opened, a luxurious hallway appeared. Red carpet covered the floor, and paintings of the sea adorned the walls. At the end of the hallway was an elegant door. This is your suite. As they approached the door, they saw a gold plaque that read Montgomery Family Presidential Suite. The three exchanged glances. This must be some mistake, Patricia whispered. We didn't book anything like this. The staff member tapped a keycard to open the door. Please, come in. When the door opened, a breathtakingly spacious and luxurious suite spread before them. Large windows offered a panoramic ocean view. The room was furnished with high-end pieces, and champagne and fruit baskets awaited them. But what caught their attention wasn't any of these things. In the center of the room hung a large banner that read, Happy Birthday, Ellie, and several beautifully framed photographs of Ellie adorned the walls. Most striking of all was a large frame certificate that read, Royal Neptune Cruises, owned by Elizabeth Montgomery. The three were speechless. Is this some kind of joke? Richard was dumbfounded. The staff member bowed politely. By special arrangement from the owner, you've been upgraded to our finest suite. We have instructions to welcome the Montgomery family with special honors. The owner? Patricia's face turned pale. Ellie? Our daughter? Yes, Ms. Elizabeth Montgomery is our owner and is known as an innovator in the maritime technology industry, the staff member said proudly. I understand she values her family greatly. These words sounded like irony to the three of them. This must be some mistake, Richard insisted strongly. Ellie owning such a large company? That's impossible. She only runs a small business, Patricia added. It's hardly successful. The staff member looked confused. I'm sorry, but Miss Elizabeth Montgomery is known as the developer of a logistics system that revolutionized the shipping industry 3 years ago. Her company was acquired by a major industry leader, after which she herself acquired Royal Neptune Cruises. Vanessa collapsed onto the sofa. My sister, a millionaire. She was very much looking forward to your arrival, the staff member continued. I understand she arranged this special journey to celebrate her birthday with her family. But we didn't invite her, Patricia said in a small voice. The staff member's expression stiffened momentarily. I see. He paused as if choosing his words carefully. In any case, by the owner's instructions, your family will receive our finest hospitality. A personal butler and chef will be at your service 24 hours a day. We will also prioritize any activities you wish to participate in. He bowed respectfully and left the room. When the door closed, a heavy silence dominated the room. This is impossible, Richard repeated several times. Ellie achieving such success, why didn't she tell us? Maybe she was trying to tell us, Vanessa said quietly. Today is her birthday. She probably wanted to surprise us. And we, Patricia's voice trembled. We excluded her. The three looked at each other, sharing unspoken feelings of regret. Several hours had passed since the cruise ship's departure. The three Montgomerys remained confined to their suite, repeatedly trying to call Ellie, but there was no answer. She's not picking up, Patricia said resignedly. I don't even know what to say to her. Richard stood on the balcony, watching the receding coastline. To think my daughter was so successful. A knock at the door sounded, and the butler entered. Mr. and Mrs. Montgomery. An invitation from the captain. Would you be able to join him for dinner at the captain's table? The three changed and headed to the captain's table. Normally such an invitation would be cause for celebration, but their hearts were heavy. When they were shown to the captain's table, Captain Marcus Johnson stood to greet them. Welcome, Montgomery family. He greeted them politely. It's an honor to have you as special guests tonight. As dinner progressed, the captain began to tell them about Ellie. Her logistics system revolutionized the shipping industry. Procedures that once took days now take minutes, the captain explained enthusiastically. And when she acquired this company, all employees rejoiced. She improved working conditions and introduced environmentally conscious operational methods. Patricia asked in a small voice, "Was she always this successful?" "Her path was certainly not smooth," the captain answered gently. "I've heard the first 2 years were filled with failures. But she never gave up." The captain's words pierced their hearts deeply. They had repeatedly told Ellie to be realistic and find a stable job whenever she faced failure. "We've prepared a special video," the captain said, and a screen descended in a corner of the dining room. A message from Miss Montgomery. The screen displayed Ellie sitting in what looked like an office, smiling at the camera. "Dad, Mom, Vanessa, if you're watching this, then you've discovered my little secret," she began calmly. "First, I want to say that this was meant to be a surprise. On my 30th birthday, I finally wanted to share my success with my family." The screen changed to show Ellie's company's growth, its innovation in the shipping industry, and ultimately, the acquisition of Royal Neptune Cruises. "The first 2 years were really tough. I thought about giving up many times," Ellie's voice narrated. "But I kept believing in my dream, even when no one understood." At these words, tears fell from Patricia's eyes. "I wanted to show you an important part of my life. I thought we could enjoy a luxury cruise together as a family and build a new relationship going forward." Ellie's voice held a tinge of sadness. "But now that I realize my presence itself is unnecessary, I'll change my gift plans." The video froze on Ellie's beaming smile. "Miss Montgomery has arranged for you to receive the highest level of service during your stay," the captain said quietly. "She loves you. That much is certain?" After dinner, when the three returned to their suite, their faces were pale. "What have we done?" Patricia said in a trembling voice. Vanessa stood by the window, gazing at the dark sea, and whispered, "We've always looked down on Ellie. I'm the worst father." Richard held his head in his hands. "Our daughter was this successful, and we knew nothing about it worse. We laughed at her dreams and continuously belittled her efforts." The three sat in silence, reflecting on their past actions. How they had dismissed Ellie's ideas as unrealistic whenever she talked about them. How they had never celebrated her small successes without adding a but. And how today, on her birthday, they had planned a trip without her. "We need to apologize to her," Patricia said with determination. "But how? Would she even believe our words now?" "We need to start by being honest," Richard said quietly. "We were wrong. We didn't believe in our daughter's potential and couldn't respect her choices." Vanessa sat on the sofa and said in a small voice, "I might have been jealous of my sister. I always envied how she believed in her own path." Their conversation turned into a quiet time of tears and confession. Outside the window, the full moon painted a silver path on the sea's surface, and the ship sailed quietly onward. On the morning of the second day of the cruise, Patricia woke up early. Through the large windows of the suite, the morning sun was turning the sea surface golden. She stepped onto the balcony and took a deep breath. "What should I do?" she murmured, gazing at the waves. Richard and Vanessa soon woke up as well, and the three sat in silence before breakfast. The shock from yesterday hadn't dissipated overnight, rather, it had settled deeper and weighed more heavily. "We should try contacting Ellie again," Vanessa said with determination. Richard nodded. "Yes. But if she doesn't answer, how can we reach her?" Patricia thought for a few seconds before saying, "Let's ask the ship staff. They might give us some information since we're the owner's family." The three left their suite and headed to the information desk. "Excuse me, would it be possible to speak with the captain?" Richard asked politely. "The captain is currently on the bridge," the clerk answered with a confused expression. "Is there something I can help you with?" "We want to get in touch with Elizabeth Montgomery," Patricia said earnestly. "She's our daughter." Her words faltered. "And we need to apologize to her," Vanessa continued. The clerk's expression changed. "Please wait a moment." After a brief conversation on an internal phone, he looked up at the three. "The executive manager, Marcus Brown, can meet with you. This way, please." They were guided to the ship's management office. They were greeted by a man in his mid-40s with a calm demeanor, different from the captain they had met at last night's dinner. "Mr. and Mrs. Montgomery," Marcus stood to greet them. "How can I help you?" "Our daughter," Patricia began. "Elizabeth, yes?" Marcus nodded quietly. "She has informed me about the situation. We want to contact her," Richard said sincerely. "We need to discuss something important." Marcus's expression clouded slightly. Miss Montgomery left yesterday on a private jet for another location. I understand it was a business emergency. Hope vanished from the three faces. Isn't she coming back? Vanessa asked in a small voice. I don't have that information. Marcus chose his words carefully. However, I do have a message from her. I've been instructed to deliver it to your room on the final day of the cruise. We can't wait until the final day. Patricia suddenly became emotional. We're her family. Can't you tell us more about how successful she is? Marcus looked at them curiously. You're her family, yet you know nothing about her success? Those words pierced the three of them deeply. Please, tell us about her, Richard pleaded. We were wrong. Marcus thought for a moment before sitting back down. Elizabeth Montgomery is a person who revolutionized the shipping industry. Her system has been adopted in ports worldwide, dramatically improving logistics efficiency. He continued to speak about how Ellie's company had grown, how she had overcome difficulties, and how she was adored by her employees. She often spoke about her family, Marcus quietly added, especially about wanting to prove her success to them. Tears flowed from Patricia's eyes. We only ever laughed at her dreams. When they returned to their suite, they gazed at the scenery outside the window in silence. Suddenly, the butler entered the room. Sir, madam, this has arrived from Ms. Montgomery. He held out a white envelope. Patricia hurriedly opened the envelope. Inside was a single letter. With trembling hands, she unfolded it, and the three began to read. Dear Dad, Mom, and Vanessa. For years, I wanted your recognition. Every time I reported a small success, the word "but" it came back, and it hurt my heart. But I realized I no longer need that. I know my own worth. No matter how much success I achieve in your eyes, it will only ever be an unstable small job. This cruise is my final gift. From now on, I'll walk my own path. I no longer seek your approval. With love, Ellie. Patricia clutched the letter to her chest and sobbed. She was suffering for years, and we didn't notice. No, it's not that we didn't notice, Richard said with a grave expression. We chose not to notice, because it didn't fit our values. For the remaining days of the cruise, they couldn't truly enjoy the calm sea and luxurious facilities. On the morning of the final day, the three were silently packing their bags. They were scheduled to disembark in the afternoon, and were seriously discussing how to contact Ellie afterward. We should go to her company, Patricia said. We need to apologize, no matter how much rejection we face. As Vanessa was about to nod, there was a knock at the door. Come in, Richard called, and when the door opened, Ellie was standing there. The three gasped. Ellie. Patricia cried out and started to rush toward her, but stopped when she saw Ellie's expression. Fatigue was visible on Ellie's face, but there was also strength and determination. She slowly entered the room. I needed time to face myself before meeting you, Ellie said quietly. I had to confront feelings I've been carrying for years. Patricia began, but Ellie gently raised her hand to stop her. Listen, she said calmly. I'm not angry anymore. I just want to change our relationship to something equal and healthy. Richard stepped forward and said in a trembling voice. Ellie, we were wrong. We couldn't believe in your dreams. We couldn't recognize your talent. I'm truly sorry. We took your presence for granted, Patricia said tearfully. And on your birthday, we did such a terrible thing. Vanessa silently approached her sister and simply hugged her. I'm sorry, sis. Tears welled up in Ellie's eyes as well. From now on, let's build a relationship where we respect each other, she said quietly. In business, I've learned the importance of recognizing and respecting others' value. It should be the same within a family. She slowly looked at each family member. Initially, I had prepared gifts for you, a luxury car, a new home fund, and so on. But now, I'm going to hold off on those. More important than material things is understanding and respecting each other. Those will come when I truly feel that things have changed. The three nodded deeply. There was a promise and determination that words couldn't fully express. 6 months had passed, and her life had changed dramatically. At a small community center in Dallas, Texas, Patricia was speaking to participants in a women's entrepreneurship support program. I learned the most important thing from my daughter: never belittle anyone's dreams, she said proudly. Some of you may be struggling without understanding from those around you. but believe in your passion. Among the participants were young women who had been offered internships from Ellie's company. Patricia felt a strange convergence of life's paths as she, who had once denied her daughter's dreams, was now a mentor to young entrepreneurs. Around the same time, at the headquarters of Ocean Connect Technology, Richard was visiting Ellie's office. "Thanks for that report, Dad," Ellie said with a smile. Richard had started working as a senior advisor in his daughter's company a few days a week. The customer service experience he had cultivated during his years in insurance sales was unexpectedly proving useful daughter's business. "I think this idea is good," he pointed at the tablet screen. "But perhaps we could consider it more from the customer's perspective?" Ellie nodded. "That perspective is valuable. Tell me more." Richard happily began his explanation. "My daughter taught me that it's never too late to learn new things, even at my age," he often said. On a weekend evening, the new Montgomery family tradition of family dinner was being held. The entire family had gathered at Ellie's penthouse. "What do you think of this brochure?" Vanessa showed the marketing materials for her small business. While continuing her bank job, the handmade accessory business she had started as a hobby was gradually growing. "The color scheme is nice," Ellie offered sincere feedback, "but you might want to clarify your target demographic a bit more." Vanessa, who once would have resisted her sister's advice, now listened thoughtfully. The bond between the sisters had grown stronger than before. "Everyone, I have an announcement." Ellie stood up. Her partner, the architect James, was also seated at the table. "We've decided to get married." The family's cheers echoed throughout the room. "We're planning to have the engagement party on that cruise ship," Ellie said with a smile, "this time with the entire family." Patricia hugged her daughter with tears in her eyes. "Your happiness means everything to me." Richard shook James's hand firmly. "Take care of my daughter. She's a special woman." At the end of the dinner, Ellie raised her glass. "Let's make a toast. To family bonds." To family bonds, everyone clinked their glasses together. Outside the window, the Dallas night skyline spread out. Ellie smiled quietly. What she had wanted more than anything wasn't a luxury car or a mansion, but genuine acceptance and understanding from her family. And now, she had it. "What we really needed was to understand and respect each other," Ellie said, and the entire family nodded sincerely. Before them stretched a new family story of mutual recognition and support.